Welcome back to On Deck. I'm Bill. That's Lloyd. I'm pointing the wrong way because you're on a different side than I'm used to. What's going on, man?
Dude, it feels like it's been forever since I've been able to talk about my little baby on camera again. I love it. I rock it every night as I play Nino Kuni before bed. Yeah, it's a good little system. No, it's been a while, man. It's been good. Hopefully you've been doing good as well, Bill.
I have. I've been playing a lot of the Steam Deck, and I'm absolutely loving this device. Every time I pick it up and put it in my hands, I think there's never been a device that is more comfortable to hold when playing video games than this. In my opinion, people can disagree with me and tell me all
Right.
of the reasons that I'm wrong, but just the layout for the buttons is just fantastic. Listen, before we jump in on the show, big thank you to all of our supporters. You guys are amazing. Thank you for supporting the show. We really do appreciate it. And as a thank you to all of the people who are here first, who watch the show right when it comes out, sometime throughout the show, I'm going to drop a couple of codes on screen that you can then grab a couple of free Steam codes for some Steam games. And best of luck to everybody who's here. And if you didn't see this one right away, then next time you see the notification, click it right away. All right,
Nice.
let's jump in with the comments from last episode. So first off, F15 told me this, and I was like, "Oh man, this is awesome! I had no idea about this." And I even sent Lloyd a message about it, saying, "Hey, did you know this?" And he was like, "Yeah." So first off, I want to say thanks, Lloyd, for telling me. And secondly, Rogue Legacy 2, which I cannot stop playing. I absolutely love that game. It's just fantastic. And it's what's on deck this week because I've been playing it again. But there's a setting called Lock 16 by 9 aspect ratio in Rogue Legacy 2, and it is defaulted to on. If you turn it off, it removes the black bars on the top and bottom of Rogue Legacy 2, which I had no idea about. And I saw this 12 days ago or so, and I told Lloyd about it, and I've been playing like that since. But then some Skim Milk replied, they replied, I'd recommend keeping 16 by 9 on Rogue Legacy. I was playing 16 by 10 for a little while before I realized half the rooms in the game are designed to be displayed on a single 16 by 9 screen. By using the Steam Deck's full aspect ratio, it forces every screen in the game to scroll instead of being a static room. So now I don't know what to do. I've been playing 16 by 9 whole time, or 16 by 10 the whole time since that 12 days ago that came out. What are you doing, Lloyd? Which way are you going on this?
Yeah, I'm doing 16:10 as well. I don't mind the room scrolling every once in a while. It does get really annoying when you get like the challenge rooms where you go into like the red portal and then you fight a bunch of enemies and get a chest at the end. I find some of them can be annoying because guys will spawn like way to the right where you can't see, and then you get shot from off screen. So I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do here. I think probably going to keep them at 16:10 because I want all the pixels.
Yes.
Even though that the rooms have to scroll around a little bit.
And to be fair, like, I mean, Skim Milk, ugh, I hate that name. That's a terrible name. Skim Milk here is saying, look, there's this issue, but guess what? When I was playing, I didn't know that it was an issue until I read his message. So I'm probably going to leave it at 16:10 just because I'm also like you, Lloyd. I want all of the pixels. So there you go. There's your little comment. A lot of people appreciated the fact that F15 had posted that because it's definitely useful information. Why it's on by default, I don't know. But another reason why you might want to have the 16 by 9 on is if you dock your Steam Deck to a TV or a computer screen or something, that's not going to be 16 by 10. That's going to make things weird. So
Right.
you definitely want to be aware that setting exists. But I appreciate them sharing that information. Still, the game that I'm playing the most on my Steam Deck right now. Christopher Easler sent in a message. They said, got any good online co-op multiplayer game recommendations for the deck that's not in the Epic Store? I mostly have single-player stuff in my library. So I'm going to say Monster Hunter Rise. It is amazing. I've been playing that a little bit this week as well. We'll talk about what we've been playing shortly. Lloyd, do you have any recommendations other than not Monster Hunter, because Lloyd doesn't like Monster Hunter?
Yeah, not a fan of Monster Hunter, but I have been playing a little bit of the Ascent. I picked it up on sale on
What was
Steam. The Ascent.
Yeah.
So that was part of like Xbox Game Pass back in the day, and I'd played it a little bit there. But I saw it on Steam sale. I think I got it for like, I don't know, $12 or something crazy. So picked it up, played it, and that is a fully co-op game. If you want to play through with your friends, it's a Diablo-like, except with guns. It's got a really cool mechanic where you can aim your gun up and down to shoot people out of cover and upstairs and things. And that supports up to, I think, 4-player co-op. So that would be a fun game. If you have some friends that own that title, jumping in and trying to get bigger and badder loots as you make your way through the game is always a heck of a lot of fun. And yeah, Diablo with guns oftentimes is a lot of fun as well. So definitely check out The Ascent if you're looking for a co-op game.
Yeah, and speaking of games that like multiplayer games on Steam Deck, stick around because I've got some really, really interesting things to talk about with multiplayer on the Steam Deck. Very cool stuff coming, or actually very cool stuff already here. All right. Yeah. Another game that I think is a really good co-op multiplayer style game would be Deep Rock Galactic. If you haven't played that, basically you play as like these dwarves who are hired to go to a planet that's procedurally generated, dig up whatever the MacGuffin is that you're supposed to dig up, fight against like a swarm of angry bugs that are angry at you for being on their planet, and then once you've collected MacGuffin, transport said MacGuffin back to your ship in a and you only have a certain amount of time because you work for a corporation and they don't care about you. They will leave you behind if you don't get there fast enough, as long as they got the MacGuffin. Lloyd and I have played this a bunch, and we've played it like with our gaming group that we play with often. That game is fantastic, and it plays really, really well on the Steam Deck as well. So I would definitely recommend that.
Yeah, definitely. I completely forgot about that game. That is a really fun co-op game. I know we had a blast playing last time, literally and figuratively going through that game. So yeah, that is another fantastic co-op game.
Absolutely. All right, let's move on and talk about the games that we've actually been playing. We've both been playing Rogue Legacy 2. I don't have anything new to share there other than I'm about halfway through. I've got 3 bosses down, and I am absolutely loving the customization. Something that I did not realize was that as you're playing through that game, if you go to the blacksmith, you can say, unequip all my stuff, and then set your stuff that you want to equip on a per class basis so that next time that you play a gunslinger, it remembers the gear that you like to use with a gunslinger. And then next time you play a paladin, it remembers what gear you like to use. So that's a helpful hint. Anything that you want to share about Rogue Legacy 2? Because that game is just amazing.
Not really. I'm about the same as you. I think I've beaten 4 bosses, I think. I'm going... The one that I'm in right now is that area where it's super dark, and you have to find some lantern, and I'm like, wouldn't you have to find the lantern before you go in? And apparently a guy is supposed to spawn there and give you the lantern, and he's not spawning for me. So it's like, okay, do I have to beat do I have to go through that whole level in the dark and then he gives it to me? I'm not sure. So yeah, I'm kind of... I hit a little stuck area as well, so I've been taking a bit of a break from that. But I did have one thing to show off that I really, really dig. It's not Rogue Legacy 2, but I picked this up off of Amazon. A bunch of different companies make these. They're exactly the same, so they buy them off AliExpress or whatever, and then repackage them. And it's this little thing right here. The one that I bought off Amazon, it's called Owl Tree. What is it? Owl Tree upgraded 2022 stand dock for Valve Steam Deck anti-slip adjustable foldable stand base compatible with Steam Deck dock stand accessories. Really terrible name for it. But it was like a little it's like a little $13 plastic stand that folds down and clicks close. And it's like this perfect little stand for me for my bedside table, because I have the world's smallest bedside table. So when I charge my Steam Deck, it basically takes up the whole top surface of my bedside table. So now I have this thing, I have it like set up against the wall, and I have my Steam Deck this way so that I can charge it and still use my bedside table for other bedside things. So this little, I don't know, $13 dock, it looks like it's $19 now, so don't pay 19 because I got it for a heck of a lot cheaper. And I'm in Canada as well, so it's probably about 40 cents in the US. and I pay $19 because our buying things from the US has been painful for the last little bit. But yeah, it's this great little plastic stand. I know a lot of people are using other things that they have on hand. I bought this because I didn't want to go through my storage containers to find my Wii U stand, which everybody's using. So Lazy Lloyd got this for $12 to save myself going through boxes.
Yeah, I'm trying to show off the Wii U one, but my autofocus won't play nice.
Not focusing.
But yeah, that's the thing that I use. Although honestly, I really don't use it all that much. Like when I first got it, when I use this for one reason and one reason alone, is when I'm shooting B-roll or something, and I want to I just want to have the Steam Deck so that I can point the camera at it and have it be vertical. That's the only time I really use this. Most of the time, my Steam Deck is just laying flat, but I don't have it on my bedside table. I usually leave it in here to charge. In the Nerd Nest to charge up there. So I don't really use that kind of thing all that much, but it reminds me. They said late spring for the dock, for the official docking station. They said late spring, and late spring is not very far away. Only
you'll be able to order it and get it in time for Christmas. It'll be great.
Well, I mean, is this something that's going to be constrained as well? Like, do you think?
I don't know.
Is that really a highly sought after? I mean, I know that the Steam Deck is highly sought after, but what I'm saying is, are the electronics that are inside this thing highly sought after stuff?
Yeah, I think there's a not insignificant portion of the user base that want to turn their Steam Deck into a Nintendo Switch. So they want to have a dock to put it into, not realizing that the Steam Deck dock that Valve is going to be selling isn't quite the same thing. It's not just plug it in and you're on the TV. There's different games have different settings, and you have to play around with that. But I think there's going to be a lot of people that are going to want to do that. And I know there's third-party solutions. I have a bunch of different things. Like I got this little HDMI adapter. I have like 1,000 different HDMI adapters and cables and things like that. People are just going to want something that is simple. So a dock that has HDMI built in, USB-Cs built in for power and whatever else. I think that's going to be, a sought-after product. But I don't think it's going to be a one-to-one thing, or even like a 0.8 to 1. I think it's going to be maybe 30% of the user base at the end of the day is going to own one of these guys.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm not talking about the product itself. I'm talking about the chips that are in the product that make the product go. Like,
sure,
are those kind of things like really hard to find these days? Or because I don't think, like, if I wanted to go on and buy a USB-C dock, I could easily find a USB-C dock. It just wouldn't be the official Valve one. And I don't think that those things are like hard to come by. Are they?
I don't think so, but you never know. Like I was reading an article or just a little news post about the Genki portable dock for the Switch. They haven't been able to make them for like a year. One of the components they use, the USB-C hub that was inside that dock, they just couldn't get the components. They ended up redesigning the whole thing to take out the 2 USB ports and just have the 1 USB port. And that's the only way that they were able to make them and produce them. So you never know. Like the one component that doesn't seem like it would be well sought after just hasn't been made in 8 months because the factory in Taiwan shut down or whatever. So yeah, I would hope that they would be using things that are easily sourced, but man, you never know these days. It's still weird with shipping delays and factories that just aren't producing the product. So you never know.
Well, one thing's for sure. Now that we've talked about it, something will change, and because that's always what happens. Valve will mention probably before I actually get the episode posted. They will mention, "Hey, by the way."
Fingers crossed.
Oh, speaking of episodes, before we move on, this is now going to be a weekly show. I don't think I said anything like that at the beginning of the show. Lloyd and I,
Did not.
we're going to start doing this weekly. We tend to record Sunday mornings. There could be some Sunday mornings where we do it live. We don't know if it's definitely not going to be an every weekend kind of thing, because we kind of appreciate not having to show up at a certain time. But if you do want to see some of these episodes live, let us know in the comments down below. All right, what else have you been playing, Lloyd?
More Vampire Survivors than I actually should be playing, because I'm not really unlocking things anymore. I'm just playing the same thing over and over and over again. Man, what a great game. We've talked about it on the show before, prior to even having Steam Decks. I'm sure we talked about it because it's like the perfect game for it. But the developer made this $3 game. I'm sure the developer and whoever is working with the developer now, because they hired a bunch of people, kicking themselves for only charging $3 for the first little bit. Like, even if they charge $5, they'd be laughing all the way to the bank for it. But it is the perfect game to have on a portable device. It's one joystick. You shoot things until you can't anymore, and then you get some money, you use it for upgrades, and then you play again. Nothing else I can talk about Vampire Survivors that hasn't been said already. It is one of my favorite titles that has been released in like the last decade. It is so addictive, quick pick up and play, and it is perfectly suited for the deck, because you can get like 6 hours from your Steam Deck until you get to near the end,
Yeah.
like the 30-minute mark, and everything is firing. And I look at the wattage usage, and it's up at like 14 watts, and I'm like, oh my god, this game's using 14 watts. But then generally when you start a level, it's using like 6, 7 or whatever. What a fantastic title. I've been playing a lot of that, Bill.
Yeah, that game's amazing. When you showed it to me, or told me about it, I looked at it and I was like, he's out of his mind. And then I picked it up. Man, that's fantastic. I've been playing that a little bit as well. I've also been playing Monster Hunter Rise, because Capcom is going to be releasing their the expansion later on this summer, and I want to be ready. I want to relearn how to play, because it's been a while since I've played. That game is absolutely amazing. I got 50 hours in it on Nintendo Switch. I got 80 hours into it on the Steam Deck. It's so damn good. I love it. I love it. I love it. And hey, let me know if you're playing that game. What weapon are you guys using? I'm using the hunting horn, which is really, really fun to use. What else you been playing?
Probably the game that I've been spending the most time on the last week. I've put about 12-ish hours in, I guess, when I look at my save game, is Ni no Kuni 2. This is one of the best games to show off your Steam Deck to people. It runs really well at 800p. It has this amazing cel-shaded art style. It looks like a Studio Ghibli cartoon or anime, whatever you want to call them. It performs so well on the Steam Deck, and I've been playing it a lot. One complaint about it, it has really, really, really small text. You can turn your subtitle font size way up, so I have it like maxed, so when there's subtitles, I can actually read it fine. But when you're walking through the world or getting into fights, like, your characters talk to each other, and so you'll hear one of your characters go, "Hey!" and then there's like a little a little blob in the bottom, and I'm like, what is that saying? Before I can even try to decipher it, it's gone, because it is such small font. So it'll be like, "Hey, whoa, hey, whoa," and I'm like, okay, they're just gonna talk to themselves. I'm not even gonna look anymore, because it's frustrating. So despite that little tiny thing that I can't read, everything else in the game is perfectly suited for the Steam Deck. Going through the world, getting into battles. This is one of the games where I've customized controls, because I didn't like the defaults. So now I have my bumpers on the back do things like jump is this one right here, my R3 or R4. is jump, and then L4 does something. I can't remember what it does. Mainly because jump is on the B button, which is just ridiculous. I don't know why you would do that, developers. That is the worst jump button ever. So I put it on the back paddles, and it works really well. And I don't know, there's something awesome about playing an expansive JRPG on a portable device and have it perform really well. And like if you turn down some of your settings and put it at like 40 FPS, which we'll talk about a little bit because that's now out of beta, you can get an easy 4.5-5 hours of battery life out of this game, which is not what I expected because it is a modern title that is running on pretty much all the other modern consoles. So Ni no Kuni 2, loved the original. I think I might actually like the second one a little bit more, but I think I'm on chapter 4 of 9, so I still got a lot of game to play through.
It's a really, really pretty game. You talked about it, so I ended up picking it up. It was on like a ridiculous sale. I don't know if it's still on sale, but it was on a really, really good sale, so I ended up picking it up really cheap with the anticipation that I will play it later. So I played probably 2 hours of it or so, and then I was like, okay, I can't play this right now. I'm playing other stuff. I'm going to have to wait. So I'm trying to practice a little bit of restraint, which is also why the games that I'm talking about that I've been playing on deck have all been games that I've been already playing on deck. I haven't been picking up anything new. I've been playing... I played, like I said, a couple of hours of Ni no Kuni 2 just based on your recommendation, and it was super cheap. I played Divinity Original Sin 2. It's a game that I already had, and it's perfect for on the deck. It runs really well. And it's a fun Western RPG. And then I just picked it up this morning because I found out that it's on sale for 100% off. Is Bomber Crew.
I don't know if I can afford that.
Yeah, I know. It's so it doesn't cost anything. You can add, I guess my guess is what they're doing is the publisher is taking this game and saying, hey, it's free until June 2nd. So by the time you guys hear this, it'll still be on sale. So make sure you go and pick it up because it doesn't cost you anything. And I think that they're hoping that you'll be like, I wonder what other games these guys have. And then maybe you'll buy something. But it's a really weird game. So you are like in a World War II era bomber, and you like when you first start playing, you're like, oh, okay, well, I know how this game works. I'm gonna shoot at the enemy targets. Well, not really. It's more of a management sim where you are managing the 4 people who work in your bomber. So you're like, okay, I need the gunner to be in the top gun right now because there's planes above us. So you select him, he goes up to the top gun. Oh, I need the pilot to put down the landing wheels. So you select the pilot, tell him to put down the landing wheels. Oh, the navigator has picked a new place for me to go. I have to paint that target or the pilot won't know where to go. So it's really more of like just a time management sim, but in disguise of like a World War II dogfighting kind of game. It's really interesting. It's got I think a lot of people will ignore it based solely on the art style alone because the art style is kind of cutesy. But it's actually pretty enjoyable. So if you haven't picked that up, it's free. So pick it up. Bomber Crew, definitely something you're going to want to check out.
Yeah, it's a great game. I played it back at launch on the Nintendo Switch, I think, so maybe a couple of years ago, and had a blast with it. It is definitely more... It's a time management sim, not a war sim, which is probably good for a lot of people. They don't want to play in that world, but doing time management stuff. It reminded me a lot of, do you remember early on in iOS, there was that plane game where you'd have to draw the lines to have them land. So it was more, it's about planes, but really you're just drawing lines.
Yes.
Oh, what was that called?
I don't know. That was a really good game.
This game reminded me of that. Not that you're drawing lines or whatever, but what you're doing in the game really doesn't matter because it's all about going to this section, putting out a fire, going over here, repairing bullet holes, going over here. Oh, I did a lot of good stuff. So my guy has he's ranked up. He's not a private anymore. He's now whatever he is, so he can do things faster. Such a fun game. And I know there's a pile of DLC that is available, which are mainly just like cosmetics for the most part. So maybe they want to push their cosmetics. But there's another game that is exactly like Bomber Crew, and I'm having problems finding it right now, that the developer makes at the same time. So
that's weird.
Maybe that's more along the line. Space Crew is what it is.
Oh, right. Oh, yeah, because when you start the game, it has like a little advertisement for Space Crew. Like there's a button that you can click, and it's like, find out more.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that's probably a little bit as to why they're giving it away. But it is a fantastic game and definitely worth picking up for $0 because why not? Add more things to your Steam library. Everybody has 1,000 games in their Steam library. Why not add another one?
Absolutely. All right, let's move on to the news. This week, Valve, Valve and iFixit, they partnered together, and sure enough, we are now able to buy replacement parts for the Steam Deck, including like a fan, and people have like purchased fans and put them in the Steam Deck and said, "Oh, look, it's quieter." Before we really get to the whole idea of the parts are available, I just have a quick question for you, Lloyd.
Sure.
Do you think people should throw shade towards Valve for shipping the Steam Deck with the loud fan and then providing it to iFixit for $30? Or do you think people should just be happy that there's a solution?
Yeah, I could understand the anger that people would have. It's like, you shipped a broken product. Well, no, they shipped a perfect product, and they realized that one of their components didn't make it up to spec, I guess. So for Valve to come out and say, if you don't like it, we don't recommend it, but you are fully in your rights to take this thing apart and put your own fan in. No other company would ever do that. So you gotta applaud Valve for doing that. The prices for all of their replacement parts are really, really good. So if you break a joystick, you can get the module for like $12 or $20, whatever it was, which is ridiculous. And you can get all the components. So if you want a battery, if you want this, you want that. Obviously, your mileage may vary. Whether you can actually like take it apart yourself, or if you need friends or other people to do it for you. But the fact that we can actually buy pretty much every component that breaks on this device is something that usually comes up when a device has been retired, but people love it, and then the community comes together to keep this device alive. Mm-hmm. Well, Valve just beat us to the punch by like 7 years by doing it right up front, which is a really great thing for them to do.
Yeah, I'm just looking through. Not only do they have the parts available, but they also have guides available to talk you step by step through the process of fixing it. So if, say, there's something wrong with your audio board, it says look at this. It's so cool. It says the difficulty is moderate. It has 12 steps. It's going to take you between 30 minutes and an hour. And you're going to need to have a Phillips number 1 screwdriver, tweezers, a Phillips number 0 screwdriver, and iFixit opening picks, which I think those are like little things that get to help you separate plastic from plastic.
Spudgers.
Yeah,
they call them.
That's so cool. And if you need to replace your audio board replacement, it looks like, I'm trying to see how much it costs. I'm scrolling through. I can't find the price of it. Like, I found the price for their
audio board, no parts specified, so it doesn't actually look like they're available right now. That's maybe because the parts.
I clicked on the one thing.
Yeah, I was looking at the right thumbstick, and it's 32, not 12. So I don't know what I was thinking when I said 12. My brain wasn't working. But even like $30 for like, you can't just go buy another controller for this thing because it's all part of the one device. But you can open it up, and for $32 and some guitar picks and screwdrivers, you can replace it yourself. That is kind of ridiculous and really great to see.
Yeah, and these guides are really fantastic guides. Like, they're showing you every single thing that you need to see, and like, the fact that Valve went through and labeled all of the stuff that's inside the Steam Deck, so that I haven't opened up mine, but I've seen plenty of people tear them down, and when they open them up, they're like, holy cow, this thing's labeled. we know exactly what this is, and we don't have to guess, which is just fantastic.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And if you are like me, you feel kind of sad that you bought a 64 gig version, not the 512 gig version that has the nice screen on it. And maybe you don't want to put like a glass screen protector on your device that has the anti-glare stuff on it. You can actually order the anti-glare screen right from iFixit. It's showing up for me. Yeah, it's $129 Canadian. So yeah, probably $100 US. That's cheaper than the delta between the 64 and the 512. So if you feel up to it, yeah, you can pick up the replacement screen and just replace it.
Okay, you're looking at it right now. What's the iFixit estimation for how long it's going to take to replace the screen?
It says moderate time required 2 to 3 hours, and there's 8 sections and 42 steps. So it is very much a moderate thing. You basically are pulling, like most modern devices, people design a product and they say, look at this beautiful screen. Okay, let's build everything around this screen. And it seems like that's what you're doing for the Steam Deck. I've done a lot of screen replacements back in my day, replacing screens on like Apple and IBM laptops. It is not fun by any stretch of the imagination, but it looks like this one actually isn't too bad. Like you're lifting up the screen. They have a little suction cup tool to start prying it up. You put your spudgers in. So after you've disconnected all the stuff inside of it, you're literally suction cupping your screen up off of your Steam Deck and then putting the other one down, and that all of the adhesive is actually going to be okay for your replacement. So this, to me, this is scary. I don't know if I would want to do this personally myself, but Valve is giving you the option, and I can't say any other device manufacturer has really gone to this level of, you want to do it, go for it. If you break it, sorry, that's on you, but we're going to give you the tools to try to do it yourself. I can't think of another company that does this, except for Apple now, because I read an article that you can replace your phone screen, but they want to charge you $1,200 as a deposit because they're sending you 80 pounds worth of steel and glass and metal, so that you can put your screen on this thing. It's ridiculous. This is a much better method to do that.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm not trying to be an Apple fanboy, but these things are put together really precisely.
Sure.
The more modern, like I had to tell my stepmother this the other day. Like she was asking me a question about her computer. I was like, I don't think I can fix it. Modern computers, just like back in the day, I would open up the case and tear parts out and put new parts in. Now everything's so small, I don't think it's within my ability anymore to be able to help you with this. You need to call, the computer company. And she's like, okay, but back in the day, I could fix anything, but these days I just can't because everything's too small.
Everything's a toaster these days. You use everything it doesn't work anymore, and you throw it out.
Everything's a toaster. All right, let's talk about, speaking of hardware. There's a hardware constraint that I ran into. This pair of headphones, I love this pair of headphones. These are the Audio-Technica ATH M50X headphones. They are incredibly comfortable. They sound fantastic, and there's no microphone. And I wanted to use them anyway because the Steam Deck has a built-in microphone. I plugged them in, and it didn't work. And I was like, what the heck is going on here? So I ended up tweeting at Lawrence Yang, and he got back to me very quickly. I said, hey, is there any way to use the built-in microphone when you're using a pair of headphones? Because as soon as you plug something in, it just shuts them off. It just shuts off the built-in microphone. And I was like, that seems like a stupid design decision. But they replied, Lawrence replied, he said, hey, Bill, there's a hardware constraint where you can't use the mic, the deck mic, if the 3.5 millimeter port is in use. You can get around this by using your headphones via USB-C hub or Bluetooth, though. And sure enough, I happen to have a little USB-C to 3.5 connector that I bought for my iPad. But
Right.
I already had this, and so I just plugged it into the USB port on my Steam Deck and plugged my headphones into it, and sure enough, everything worked perfectly, exactly like you would expect. So if you have like a really good pair of headphones that don't have a microphone, don't count those out for the Steam Deck, because if you just have this I think this is like $8, and it's Apple, so I'm sure you can get it cheaper than $8 because this is like the Apple version. For $8, you can use any pair of headphones, and you don't have to worry about having a microphone. And the microphone sounds really good. It's impressive how good the microphone is on the Steam Deck.
That's really cool. It's weird that there's a hardware constraint, but it must be part of the same circuit. So when the 3.5 jack goes in, it disables the hardware microphones. And he said it's a hardware constraint, so it doesn't sound like this can be fixed with software, which is a little bit unfortunate. But that was probably just an edge use case that they never even happened upon when they were planning this thing. But having all these workarounds is a really great thing.
You know, I think, and maybe I'm wrong about this, I think that this is something that's probably just built into most headphone jacks.
Yeah.
Like most of those jacks probably just automatically do it that way, and so it doesn't make any, like I said, it's a stupid design decision, but maybe it's not a design decision. Maybe that's just the way that kind of thing works. I don't know, because I'm not an engineer.
Right.
But I love that there's an easy workaround, a cheap workaround, and now I can use my nice, expensive headphones that have a really, really good sound and no microphone, and I can still play video games with the Steam Deck, and be able to talk to people without having to have like the awful mod mic, because mod mic doesn't really sound all that good. I've heard people using it. Like, sure, it gets the job done, but it's not great. And I've seen issues, or I've had plenty of gaming headsets, and the microphones are always terrible on gaming headsets. So I wanted to have a good pair of headphones to use, not just with the Steam Deck, but also with the Steam Deck. And it's very cool that you can use that as your workaround.
Yeah, I gotta say, not really talking about the workaround at all, but it was really cool to see Lawrence Yang's reply to you, because I didn't actually see your original tweet, and I just saw a Lawrence Yang tweet come in, and I'm like, wait, he's talking to Bill. That's weird. And then I followed through the thread, and I'm like, yeah, that's really great. You ask a question, and hours later, someone that works at the company is giving you tech support or saying it's not possible. Obviously, they're not going to do that for every question that comes in. That's not sustainable. But the fact that a lot of people at Valve are out there talking with the community and just having normal conversations. Again, everything about the way Valve is handling this just feels weird, because no other company does this. So hopefully this is the new normal, though. I'd love to see every company be as responsive and active with their community. I just don't think a lot of corporate cultures allow them to do that.
Yeah, I would agree with that. It's not a fault of the people who are working at these companies. It's a result of policies that tie their hands. I'm going to say 99% of the time. I don't work there. I don't know. That's just my guess. Speaking of Lawrence Yang, he put out this tweet. Well, actually, he was quote tweeting Greg Coomer, who also works at Valve, about this useful link for games that was recently categorized as playable or verified on Steam Deck. And so that's the wrong button. I got to click on this. If you click on that link, it pops up the store.steampower.com. And if you look, basically this is saying these are games that are for the Steam Deck and are verified or playable. So you can easily go there and just kind of scroll through and see what's going on. And if you want, you can also set this to, I'm trying to see where on the right-hand side, you can set it to special offers. And so you can see what games are playable and verified and on sale for that are playable and verified on Steam Deck. So like I just clicked on that. This is, by the way, how I found out about Bomber. What's the name of it? Bomber Crew. Bomber Crew, thank you. This is how I found out about Bomber Crew, is I was just kind of scrolling through this list, and I was like, 100% off? That's weird. And so, like, on the screen, I can see all these games that are either playable or verified for Steam Deck, and they're on sale, and it shows their little percent off. And so I was just kind of scrolling through, and I saw 100% off, and that's how I found that. And it also has like a little blue thumbs up if it's mostly positive response, or a little yellow
Tilde.
wavy line to say it's not so hot, or maybe a thumbs down if it's I'm not seeing any thumbs downs on here, but if I scrolled long enough, I bet you that I would find one. But like just scrolling through this list real quick, I can see that the Darkness 2, I don't know anything about that, but that is 90% of the 5,711 reviews for this game are positive. And it's $6 right now. It's 80% off. If I scroll for a while, I can find another one, Healer's Quest. It says 87% of the 174 user reviews for this are positive, and it's $3. I don't know if that game's any good. I've never heard of it. But this is a good way to look through and see, if there's a good deal of something that jumps out at you. You're scrolling through this, Lloyd. Is there anything that jumps out at you?
I totally missed the special offer tick right at the top of the screen. So I was just scrolling through page after page after page looking for good sales. But you just click special offers. That is super smart. I'm glad that you mentioned that, Bill, because I would have totally not thought of that. I can't really see any games here that are really good because I haven't played a lot of them. But it's really, really nice to kind of go through and see, Wolfenstein New Colossus. Oh, yeah, that's right. That one is verified because I turned on verified only, and other games that I might have in my library that I forget about, or games that I've played on other platforms but maybe didn't finish. Just scrolling through this is really nice. Having the special offers is really smart. I like that on it. I have a couple of links that I go to every once in a while. There's Fanatical has a games that are verified but are also on sale on Fanatical, so you can actually find some really decent deals there as well. There's going to be a bunch of sites that are going to be firing up for this because there's big money in directing people to stores and taking your 3 to 5% or whatever. So it's going to be easy to find your cheaper and cheaper games as things go on. But it's nice to see so many tools already pop up.
Yeah. So one of the games, as I scrolled through while Lloyd was talking, Divinity Original Sin 2 Definitive Edition. I mentioned that game at the top of the show. That's on sale for 60% off right now. That's a really good game. If you like Western style RPGs like Baldur's Gate and that kind of thing, this is made by the same people that are making Baldur's Gate 3. That's $18 for that game. It's a really cool game, and It is a multiplayer game. And so I want to use this moment to transition to something really quick. This is so cool. And I didn't tell Lloyd about testing this. In fact, Lloyd and I are going to try and do B-roll that I'll put on top of this afterwards. Let's talk about SteamOS 3.2. So sure. SteamOS 3.2 is now out of beta. That means that the refresh rate thing that we talked... I don't know if you've had a chance to talk about that on the show, because your computer died and I did the show without you.
Was it a...
I can't remember. It doesn't matter. It's amazing. It's so cool. But that's now available for everybody. It says players now have the option to adjust the in-game screen refresh rate on the fly. The default is 60 hertz. It can be limited to 60, 30, and 15, but you can now slide it down to 40 with frame limits at 40, 20, and 10, or any integer between those two settings. This feature is great for finding that perfect balance between frame rate, game quality, and battery life. Pro tip, we have found that 40 Hz tends to be a sweet spot for responsiveness, consistency, and smoothness. And of course, you can save this setting on a per game basis. So, I know a lot of people switched over to the beta channel just for that. Because that is such a huge change. And same here. I was already on the beta channel, but as soon as this dropped out of the beta channel, I dropped out of the beta channel until there's something that comes to the beta channel that I'm like, ooh, I got to try that out. In which case, I'll switch over because it's so easy to do. You go into the settings. It's like 4 taps. And you're in the beta channel, and then 4 taps, and you're back on the stable channel. So that refresh rate being there for everybody now is a big deal, I think.
Yeah, and when you combine it with the what is it, per game settings, so you
Yes.
could have one game that is 40 and the other one that is 60. Because I would run into issues when I was on beta. I would start up an emulator and it wouldn't work at all, or the
Yeah.
audio would be garbled, and I'm like, what's happening? Oh yeah, 40 frames a second. Got to put it back up to 60. But now having the ability to separate your apps to have different settings, this is just that much better of a tool, because it's not going to immediately break everybody unless you set it as your default and then you try to run an emulator and audio is all garbled. So it's not going to prevent that stuff, but it is definitely going to make it a lot less likely to happen. But yeah, like the battery savings dropping down from 60 hertz to 40 hertz, not every game, but a lot of games, like you get more battery life just by dropping that down. Some games are better if you do 60 hertz and then limit it to 30 frames a second. But it gives you more tools to play around with, which is what the Steam Deck has all been about. Like Valve giving you options and tools, and you can kind of come at the problems however you want to come at them, which is great. But yeah, the refresh rate, that's been huge for me. I've even played some games at 10 frames a second just to see what they were like. It was a game that didn't have a lot of action, so I wouldn't do that for like a first-person shooter. But if you're just playing like a management sim or a game that doesn't have a lot of action or turn-based, you can get even more battery life by limiting your screen to 40 and then limiting your refresh rate down to 10 frames a second, which is, yeah, ridiculous. But all another tool in your belt that you can use whenever you need to eke out a couple extra watts of battery power to extend your gaming sessions just a little bit more.
Yeah. They also said that the team has been hard at work on the Steam Deck's fan behavior, and this update has an all-new operating system controlled fan curve. That means overall it's smarter, more responsive to what's happening on the inside of the deck, and quieter, especially in low usage situations. This has been tested extensively, and we're continuing to work on improvements, so please let us know what you think. If you prefer the way the fan used to work, you can always switch back to the old BIOS-controlled fan behavior in the system settings. I think that's awesome. I'm going to leave it, look, the way I look at it is Valve knows what the hell they're doing. If they say that this is the new hotness or coolness, I guess, then that's the thing that I'm going to use, and I'm super happy about it. I have hearing issues, so the fan has never really been an issue for me.
Yeah. It hasn't really bothered me much, but I did notice, like, when I was downloading games and updates, the fan would kick up, and I'm like, why is the fan kicking up? I'm just downloading stuff. That doesn't happen anymore. So they're working on it. With an OS controlled fan curve, they can make small tweaks a lot easier without having to update the firmware or the BIOS of the hardware. So this is the better way to go forward with them. But yeah, from when I first got my Steam Deck and I plugged it in and was doing my initial setup, and the fans are running at max, and I'm like, oh my god, this is going to be crazy loud. And then my first update had kind of like some new fan stuff in it, and it got immediately quieter. I haven't really had a loud Steam Deck, so people that had them for a month before me maybe dealt with that a lot more. It's really great to see Valve spending time to work on these things.
Yeah, they also said that SteamOS 3.2 also includes more internal screen resolution options for games to choose from, quick formats for micro SD cards, and audio improvements. Yeah. Max speaker volume now goes even higher. I never have this thing at max. Do you ever have it at max volume, Lloyd?
No, maybe half is about as high as it's ever gone when I've been playing.
I'm looking right now. I'm grabbing my Steam Deck, and volume, I don't know if I can even show it on here. Is way down there. So yeah, it's plenty loud. I can't imagine playing it at max excuse me, at max volume. All right. So I teased this a couple times this episode. Remote play together. And there's going to be people in chat in either in chat or in the comment section, and they're going to be like, this has been a thing on Steam for ages. Yes, I'm aware. But real quick, this is the first time that I tried it. So essentially, here, I'll read what they said. This feature isn't actually part of SteamOS 3.2. It's a Steam client update, but it's still a big deal. And so it's something that we also shipped today is Remote Play Together. The feature that allows a friend to join your game remotely as if they're sitting on the couch next to you is now completely functional on Steam Deck. This includes both hosting and joining remote play sessions. Try out a supported game, and they have a little link. So if you guys are watching this, there's going to be a link in the description down below that'll take you to this blog post, and then there's a link in that blog post that will take you to the supported games, and there's actually a lot of them, and I'll talk about that in a second too. Try out a supported game and then open the quick access menu to get started. Details about this and other Steam updates can be found here. All right. So this is really, really cool. First off, if you load up your library and you press the X button, so I'm just going to go to my library and I press X, and then you can just page down with your D-pad. You can go down to features and you can say, just show me games that have remote play together. And it's going to limit it to just the games that have remote play together. And I just realized I'm on the wrong screen.
Nice.
There we go.
Nice.
Yeah. And so, you know, that game that's on sale right now, Divinity Original Sin 2, that game works with remote play together. So the thing that's so cool about this, and I'm going to Nintendoize this for a second. The 3DS had Mario Kart. And if you wanted to play Mario Kart with somebody and they didn't own Mario Kart, you could stream your game to them. Like it would send like just the most important parts of the game to that other 3DS, and then you guys could play together. You couldn't play the whole game, but you could play together.
Right.
And when the Switch came out, that's something that did not move forward. You could not do that anymore. You could not share your game wirelessly to somebody. Well, Steam Remote Play Together, you can do that again, only now it is the whole game. Now, it's not going to be every single game, and that's understandable because some games are not going to work well. And some games are not going to... Some games that are supported aren't going to work perfectly anyway. It's going to be kind of hit or miss. But I tried it yesterday a couple of times. I tried it once with one of our community members just because I wanted to test it. And I said, hey, anybody around to help me test this? And we tested it real quick. And I loaded up... I can't... Speedrunners. Because I wanted to make sure it was a game that they didn't own. So I loaded up Speedrunners and I invited them. And sure enough, we joined. And he said, I was playing it on the Steam Deck. So this is going from my Steam Deck, streaming to this person, and then they are controlling one of the characters on the screen. And he said there's a little bit of latency. And so on the quick access menu, there's a button that says quality. You could set it to automatic, or you can set it to fast or low or something like that. I can't remember exactly what it says. I'll probably have it on the screen at some point. But you can choose the quality. And so I lowered the quality and I was like, how's that look? And he said, it looks fine. It doesn't look as good, but it's much more playable now. And that's streaming a game from the Steam Deck. So then I was like, do you have any games? And he's like, yeah. I don't even know what game it was. He tried it with a game, and I don't know what game it was, but we were both controlling the same controls at the same time, so that didn't work perfectly. So this is a problem that I've run into on PC gaming many times, where my son and I would try and sit down at my computer and play a game together, and the game can't figure out who's player one and who's player two. And we were trying to figure it out. We couldn't figure it out, but that might have been that game's issue. And I said, oh, thanks for helping me out. That's really awesome. And we logged off. And then I was like, I'm going to try and get some B-roll. So our mega mod, our community moderator, Kodiak Moonwolf, said, I'll help you out. But he's in a hotel, and he's connected to his phone. And I was like, okay, this is going to be a disaster, but I want to know if it works. Spoilers, did not work. It crashed every time because he had a Steam Deck connected to his phone. And it was like tethered, and it was not a good experience. It kept crashing, and we were on voice chat at the same time. But we tried it out, and like when it first popped up, because I tried Divinity Original Sin, it first popped up, and he was like, "Oh my god, I can't believe it!" And then and then we lost connection to each other. So it doesn't work perfectly, but it shows what controller you're using. So if you're on the Steam Deck, it'll have a little Steam Deck icon. If you're using a controller, it'll have a little controller icon. If you're using the Steam controller, you've got that icon. It's so friggin' cool that you can do this. And now the one thing that I need Steam to implement is ad hoc computer networking without having to be like connected to the internet. So if I'm in a room with somebody and we want to play Streets of Rage 4 together, I can be like, oh, you don't have that? No problem. That would be amazing. So Lloyd, have you tried this feature?
I haven't. I was actually getting super stoked for when we were going to test it out because I had the perfect game. Because I looked at the game settings and what happened there? I lost my screen. My Steam Deck is freaking out. That's okay. I don't need it on the screen. So I was looking through and I looked at DuckTales Remastered and I look at the settings and it said remote play, remote play, remote play. And I'm like, this is perfect. I didn't realize that there's another section called remote play together. It's not supported. Dashing my hopes and dreams to play this together. I don't think it's multiplayer anyway, so it was probably a bad game to even think about. But I'm just thinking of like side-scrolling beat-em-ups. There's so many of them. I think the only one that I have installed or able to install is Streets of Rage 4, so maybe that would be the one to try out. But it seems like all the Lego games support it. It seems like there's a lot of games that have that built in. Really, really fantastic. I can't wait to check that out a little bit. It would be a great way for us to play because I could probably do that through like Steam Link. So player 2 would be on the Steam Link connected remotely and I'd be on the deck itself, right? I would assume that would work, but maybe not. Something to test out and check for next episode because that would be a great way to play multiplayer with my family. You can even do some sort of like async multiplayer because they wouldn't be able to see your screen necessarily.
Yeah, so basically all that you do is if you load up a game that has this feature, and of the 62 games that I have installed on my Steam Deck, when I filter them down based on games that have that feature, wait, where is it? Players, play state, hardware, features, here we go. Remote play together. I have 14 games on my Steam Deck that I did not know that I could do this with. And so if you go to play one of those games and you start that game, when you hit the quick access menu, it'll have a new little icon on the quick access menu that wasn't there before. And you just say start session. And then you could just hit invite a friend. You type in your friend's name and you invite them. Or, and this is really cool, they also give you just a link that you can then copy that link and send it. And then everybody who has that link can join your game. So if you're playing, I don't know if this game is available for it, but what's the one where you golf with friends?
Yeah, Golf with Friends.
I don't know if that one's supported, but Golf with Friends is like 30 players at a time or something, or you know what I mean? So you could invite a bunch of people. It does have it.
Yeah, remote play together is supported rather. So yeah, that would be a great game to play.
And you only need one copy. That's the thing. You only need one copy of the game in order to play it with as many people as can play that game.
That's fantastic. I'm looking through my games. I have 96 games that support remote play together. None of them would be really fun to play, except for a game that I really like. There's a Gauntlet game that I picked up as part of a bundle, and it's just called Gauntlet, and it was kind of like the reboot of Gauntlet from the old arcades for, I think, the PlayStation 3 era. I think that's when or maybe PS4 is when it came out. But that supports remote play together. It is a game that is so much better with friends. I don't know anybody else that owns a copy. But Bill, you and me can jump right in and we could play just with the one copy that I own. What a fantastic feature, and kind of ridiculous that you can do it right from your portable gaming device.
Yeah, and so like I did it both directions, playing it where I was on the Steam Deck streaming and somebody else was streaming from a PC. Right. I was on the Steam Deck streaming at 800 1280 by 800, and they were on a 2560 by 1440 screen. They said that the game that we were playing looked fine. It looked a little pixelated, but that's what's going to happen when you take low-res stuff and blow it up. They also tried another game. I can't remember what it was, but it crashed, and they said, I think that they sent me a message later. They said, I think it only crashed because I had a box ticked that said change the resolution to the resolution of the person's device that I'm sending it to. And basically what they think is this is a game it's a console port and it's not expecting you to change resolution mid game, and they think that that's probably what crashed it, but I can't remember.
It totally makes sense. Yeah, this is a great feature. I can't wait to play around with that a little bit more. Again, all things that you just don't know are there, and then all of a sudden they show up and it's like, oh, of course they're there. That makes total sense. And then you jump in and you're happy. Yeah, I love the Steam Deck for that reason. Like just finding these little secrets that you think that you found like this hidden thing that no one else has ever stumbled into, and you feel like a genius. But of course, it's all part of the Steam ecosystem, which is great.
Yeah, Steam has a lot of stuff built into it that nobody uses, or I'm not going to say no. Yeah. I'm not going to say nobody. Lots of people use them, but the vast majority of people don't know about the features that Steam has. And then the Steam Deck's getting all this attention, and we're like, hey, this cool thing. And they're like, yeah, they show the astronaut meme, always has been,
Right, exactly. Yeah, this SteamOS 3.2, a really great update. The one thing I'm really excited for, other than Remote Play Together, that's going to be a lot of fun, is supporting more resolutions by default. Because one thing that is frustrating to me is playing a game, noticing that I'm going to get under 2 hours of battery life, and then I go into the resolution settings to drop down the resolution so that I can turn on FSR. And to do that, it has to be running less than 720p before FSR will take over.
Yeah.
There's almost no games that I've played where you can choose under 720p, except for some of them where you can choose like 640 by 480, which then isn't widescreen. And then it's like, well, why am I doing this? I'd rather just play the 2 hours at the normal resolution. So hopefully this will allow more games to have like, I don't know, maybe 20% less resolution, but then FSR will then bring that up to where it should look, and then you'll get better battery life because of that. I'm really hopeful that more and more games will start supporting that in the near future. That's my one biggest complaint about the Steam Deck, is that it doesn't have a 1080p screen, so that I can run games at 720p and then FSR them up to 1080p to save on battery life and still get a nice resolution. 800p, sure, whatever, but I can't drop the games anymore to then get FSR and extend my battery life. I'm all about battery. If you haven't like picked up on that, I'm all about like tweaking things as much as I can to scrape out the battery life. I never play a game for 5 hours in one go on the Steam Deck.
You'd like to know that you can.
Yeah, I spend so much time making it so that I can, and then I play it for 30 minutes. And I spent 3 hours tweaking all the settings to play for 30 minutes and feel happy that I was able to do that. I don't know. This is showing me and everybody else just little bits of my psyche that I don't know if I want out there. I'm weird. I'm weird, I guess.
Well, you guys all have to let us know, is Lloyd weird, or is he doing the same things that you are? Let us know in the comments down below. I'm also very curious, what Remote Play Together games are you guys using with your Steam Decks? Is it working for you? Are you running into issues? And just a reminder, we're going to be back next week for another episode of On Deck, because we just have so much stuff to talk about. We've already been over an hour. We've got tons of stuff to talk about, and I'm sure that we'll have more stuff to talk about next week. So that's now going to be an every week thing. And if you want to see the shows live, let us know down below. We won't do everyone live, but once in a while we might. All right, Lloyd, you want to tell everybody goodbye?
Yeah, I'm actually looking at the Fanatical link right now that's showing all the games that you can get for cheap, and I kind of want to rebuy SimCity 4 because it's up for $20. I kind of want to replay that game. I'm not going to. I have too many other games to play, and that is the issues that we have here on the Steam Deck. So many games to play, not enough time to play them.
Yeah, it's crazy how many games there are.
Exactly. All right, everybody, thanks for joining us for On Deck. We will talk to you here next week. Have a good one, everybody.